Hey, Composing Gloves here, and today we're going to be looking at dynamic equalizers in action in a mix. Now, dynamic equalizers and multiband compressors are mega similar, and I'm going to be using TDR Nova. I cover this plugin, and it's actually free in the free plugins video, so you can go check that out. Now, and you can have it if you don't have it yet. What's cool about a dynamic equalizer is it's a more elegant solution to a variety of types of compression. So for me, it's a lot more straightforward in smoothing out things because I can visually see and actually hear the peaks by boosting them in a much more straightforward manner than I would with a compressor. So it allows me to identify, like, oh, if I just compress this region of the spectrum, my headroom will increase. It's much easier to identify that. But as far as transient shaping and stuff, not quite as friendly, I'd say. So I might grab a multiband compressor. However, this is totally a matter of opinion and how comfortable you are with your various tools. I could do the exact same thing with either tool. It's just a decision on which one do I want to use. So, and there is the whole different filters, different standards, those kinds of things. So your plugins will just sound different just because they're different plugins. But we're going to be looking at it in this mix. It's called Desert Paradise. And right here, we are about to go through a portal.
You are going through a portal.
Just kidding. We're going through a portal. And these are some vocals. And I have decided, instead of using a multiband compressor, to use a de-esser. And I'm using a de-esser. I mean, not a de-esser. What am I talking about? A dynamic equalizer. I'm using a dynamic equalizer because it's just straightforward for those reasons, especially with a vocal. So I want to get more headroom out of it, make the vocal more even. And so that's what I'm doing here. So I've activated these bands. And I believe I have the analyzer. Yes. So the analyzer, what it's going to show you is what's going out. And so if we look at what's coming in, we can see our moves, but we can't actually see the effect this is having unless we change it to out, just so you know what you're looking at. So I'm looking at what's coming in, and here we're going to play it and just give it a listen.
You are going through a portal.
And if you listen to it, you hear that these sections are actually very smooth. Let's go ahead and turn off the various bands.
You are going through a portal.
And it's pretty obvious that we have some mid-range stuff popping through, and you can identify this just from hearing it. Like, it just comes through. To me, whenever I hear something coming out at me, it's almost like it's at my ear. Like, it's closer to my ear than other stuff is. And so, anyways, I don't know. But anyways, what I did was I turned on a couple bands, and I activated on these two guys. You could tell because they have this little slope thing on them. I activated the threshold. So I brought it down to a level. Then it basically says, when you go past this level, go ahead and compress it according to our ratio, which is right now basically 2-to-1. And then it's 2-3-1. And what we have here is, I don't know if that's 2.3-to-1. I think that's what that is. Then we have our attack and our release. And so what happens is when things violate this threshold and how much it's going to be compressed, just like it's just a compressor at this point, but it's compressing frequencies specifically. This is really great because it allows us to dynamically change our frequencies. See, a beginner might just cut frequencies. They might just go, oh, I have problems in that area of the spectrum. I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put a cut there. Boop, done. Like, I've cut it. It's all fixed and ready. Maybe it'd be a little bit higher up or whatever. But it's like, oh, but then so those spectrums are going to receive a permanent cut. Sometimes you're going to want to do this. Maybe you have a resonant frequency that you don't like. You can do that. But the drawback to this kind of a method is it's permanent. So it doesn't have very much flux to it. So if it's just trying to make room because of masking, those frequencies are still important. When, like, having this back up there is important because sometimes those frequencies, you know, you don't want to just leave it like that. So we use a compressor. It's sort of a more automated way of doing this. And of course, like, in my opinion, one of the ultimate ways is just using a volume knob, except for when you're doing frequency specific stuff, it's a little more difficult. So this is really sort of your best option as far as ease goes. So I really, really enjoy these for that reason. Now, if we play it without this,
you are going through a portal.
You can hear that. Now here is after. So I've selected my frequencies and brought them down. So let's do some ABs. Here it is with.
You are going through a portal.
Without.
You are going through a portal.
With.
You are going through a portal.
So it's much more even, and the spectrum has been treated quite nicely. Because you have to remember, when you're looking at a waveform, this is all the frequencies in that waveform. And you can, if we were to render it out as the new version, it would look different. Like, what determines this is all of them together. So this has just been made a lot more even and nice. So let me do it just one more time. Without.
You are going through a portal.
With.
You are going through a portal.
So that's really, really helpful. And that also allows to prevent masking with other things in the mix. So like I have some other stuff going on here.
You are going through a portal.
And this right now, this is going to be what I think is the most important thing. So I want this to sit on top, and it does quite nicely. And not in a way that's like distracting or anything. It's just a nice, smooth thing. It's doing its job. It's just where I want it to be. And so that's some cool things. I notice I do have some EQs beforehand. This is just general shaping. I'm just shaping the vocal. This one, I don't even know what the crap I'm doing with this. I probably put it on there and forgot about it. So yeah, while I was mixing, I had a couple things going through this track as well. And I later on, I separated them out. So that's also why I have some weird, funny name. Like you see, there's two, sub, bass, and voice, because I split it and did stuff. So anyways, that was what's going on there. Now, that's my general philosophy about doing this. So we're reducing it, and sometimes I'll even automate these things on and off, so it's only on when I need it. And that can also be helpful. It depends on the situation. Now, I have another thing in here that's using one of these, and it's using it for a similar reason. It's not quite as extreme, but I have an instance of Razor playing a line. It sounds like this, and there's some automation. So what I'm going to do is just mute some of these other things so we can hear it. Now we got the voice. Now what I was having issues with was this was clashing as we got further and further into the mix. And so what I ended up doing was I put on, so you see I have a low and fix here, so I'm doing a roll off so I can make room for the kick and not have it fighting without the roll off. Let's go back to where we were. So let's go ahead and hear it without the roll off. Let's actually go a little bit further where it might be a little more apparent what's going on. Turn those off. So you hear the low end doing stuff. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. So it's just a little bit tighter. It's out of the way of the lower stuff that I have going on, such as the kick drum and stuff. Next up, I smooth it over just a little bit. You see right here, I had some problems with it clashing with some other things. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to use a dynamic equalizer and freaking deal with this crap. And so I just put it in there. You notice I actually put an EQ cut. That's what the yellow line is. But then I also have my threshold quite a ways down there. And you can see it's turning on. My ratio isn't too crazy. On these things, I don't do too much crazy ratio stuff. Just enough to create some masking. It's basically like complementary EQing, only like dynamically. So it's kind of cool. So it leaves stuff alone when it doesn't need to be touched. So it's a really nice way of dealing with things. I find it a much more elegant solution, a much more flexible solution. I really enjoy it. So with everything in context, it would sound like this. I have a friend who got me into house. I ended up watching a bunch of documentaries, and yeah, it's not good. So not that house is not good. I love house. I mean, like me getting into it is like, oh my gosh, it's too much fun. They're like simplistic, but they're like hard to make at the same time, but for like other reasons, just different creative challenges. But that is my role of de-essers in a mix. So that's why I pull them out for. That's some of the ideas behind them. If you have additional information you'd like to share in the comments, go ahead, let me know. I'd be interested to hear it, and, you know, drop it down there for people who are newer. Just make yourself heard. If you have any questions, let me know. I do private lessons, and support me on Patreon, and have a blessed day. Where you're meant to be, gravity is chained to your core. Will you be free? Break the chain.